Hi guys, how are things? I'm Janine from Steve's class, and I'm just going to take you through some of the grammars and vocabulary, which is in the Pooh and the Guys Go to English class. If you haven't watched it yet, you should go and watch it now. It's quite long, around 18 minutes, but take your time when you are watching it and take notes of vocabulary and grammar structures that may be unfamiliar to you. Oh yes, you will need a notebook to write stuff down, and welcome to the class.
So, let's get started and take a look at the past continuous tense. It makes sense that this is the first tense used in our little adaptation. The past continuous is a narrative of story tense, and so it is used throughout the story as the narrator speaks using the narrative tenses. The past continuous tense is used when we are talking in the past and we want to describe an action which is in progress in the past. The structure of the past continuous is the verb be in the past, which is was or were, and the present participle, this is the verb plus ing.
One lovely morning, Pooh was walking through Marion Square in Dublin.
Here we can imagine Pooh plodding through a nice park on his way to school, and this is the main function of this tense: to provide the reader or listener to the story with some imagery and help them to paint a better picture in their mind of what is going on in a story. Children are very good at doing this kind of painting.
The next big grammar point which we immediately run into and which is essential to both telling and understanding any story in English is the past perfect simple.
What?
It is another hugely important narrative tense. It is formed using the verb have in the past, had, as the auxiliary verb, and the main verb is then used in the third form noun as the past participle.
He was on his way to the new English class, which Christopher Robin had recently set up.
The other past time here is the first part of the clause, and it is in the past simple. Was plus prepositional expression.
But
He was on his way to class, and the class had been set up before that time. Even explaining this grammar point, I need to use it. This tense is often referred to as the pasta of the pasta by Italian speakers of English.
Let's have a look at another example of this tense in the story.
In fact, the week before, Pooh had got so distracted that he missed the first half of Christopher Robin's class.
Here, the time word before signals that the narrator is referring to a previous past time, and so we use the past perfect in the clause. It's important to look at the second clause here. It is in the past simple because Pooh missed the class after he got distracted and not before. It's also important to note that the past perfect and past simple often work together. When you are telling a story, the past simple is always the time of the story. Unless someone has decided to tell a story in the present, which is also an option, but in Steve's class we tell stories using narrative forms and use other tenses in the dialogues.
We think the biggest problem that students have here is they become unsure of the sequence the actions take place in. It's hard to explain this to students, but we would say that the main tense used is past simple and it signals that the story is moving forward. The past continuous signals that an action is taking place at this time, and the past perfect lets the listener know that an action happened before this time. The pasta of the pasta. Okay, so this is the first video lesson by Steve's class. We hope that it was useful and feel free to share, comment or ask us a question regarding any aspect of Pooh and the Guys Go to English class.